All right, folks, so welcome to our makeup meeting for the missed meeting last week. So we're actually having a makeup meeting in December for our meeting that's supposed to be on 12/5, which I had to miss due to a family item. Sorry about that. Had to close an estate and couldn't get an appointment except for the time during our meeting. So today I want to do a couple things. First off, you know that during the competitions, you are going to be, or competition, you're going to be given a network that you have to go in and find out certain items or information about. This is why the ethical hacking labs are so good for you, because they're actually showing you the tools, or some of the tools anyway, that you will have available to you for the actual contest. The other item that you have a request for proposal that you have to do that really asks you to quote out and look at and figure how to do a penetration test on a fictitious company. Now, many of you may not know what a pen test is. So today, the very first thing I wanted to do is introduce you to one site I found, and this is only one of many because there are a large number of different sites out there. You also notice this one's fairly old. It was last edited on the 16th of August 2014. So there are others. I just grabbed this one because it had a very quick, easy definition of the sections that you may see in a pen test. When we talk about a penetration test, all we're really talking about is an ethical hacking attempt on a company. So the difference, and really the only difference between a penetration test and an actual hack of a company, is that penetration testers are white hat hackers. They have the permission of the company. In fact, not only do they have the permission of the company, in most cases they're being paid by the company to do a pen test. Now, when we look at pen tests, there are a couple different ways, and I think I've already talked about this once before, and maybe you remember this, but we talked about different ways of doing a pen test. One was called a white box model. One was called a gray box model. And another was called a black box model. Do any of you remember this? We talked about it some time ago when we first had one of our first meetings, and I talked a little bit about pen tests and those things. So any of you remember what those are? If not, that's okay. No problem. Discuss it among yourselves. You also can Google it. But one of the things we talk about, if you are hired to do a penetration test and you're doing it in what's called a white box model, you're given information about the company. In other words, you're given all information, really, what OSs they use, networking gear, IP addresses, all those things you're given. So in a white box model, you kind of know what you're attacking. You know that you're actually attacking a company that runs Windows servers with some Linux servers as possibly as web servers. They're running Cisco networking gear with Palo Alto firewalls. In a white box model, you know all that going in. So you have a very clear picture of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to hack. Now, the problem with that is a white box model is not very realistic when you think about a hacker really trying to get into the company. The only way this would be realistic if it was an inside structured threat. Now, we did talk about these. The inside structured threat would be someone who joined a company for the sole purpose of learning about that company and then hacking that company from the inside. In a gray box model, you're given some information, maybe just a little bit, okay? So, you know, you may be given that, hey, we run Windows servers, but you're not told what version. You're not told how they're set up. You may be told, yeah, we got Cisco gear, but you're not really told what the gear is and how it works. And the final model is you're given no information. And this is probably the one that is the most realistic, because that's what a hacker would have to deal with when doing an actual hack on a particular company. So when we talk about a penetration, I can't spell. Golly, I can't spell. Penetration test. It is honestly just an ethical hack of a company. Now, there can be different ways of doing this too. You can just do vulnerability scans, vulnerability scans, all right? And so those would be scans that did not in any way actually affect the network other than just figuring out what's vulnerable, didn't try to actually exploit anything. You can be hired to actually try to exploit items. You can be hired to even do denial of service attacks, attempt to do a denial of service attack on a company's servers. All of that would be specified, however, in the pen test contract. And again, that's really what the difference is between someone hacking a company and someone doing a penetration test. You are given a rules of engagement. Basically, you're given rules of engagement that tell you what you can and cannot do during the penetration test or what is expected. Now, I'll give you a great example. We, when we were running our security courses here at Stanley Community College, we had an ethical hacking course. And we were given permission by the Chief Information Officer to run a pen test on the campus's network. Our rules of engagement were that we would not do anything that caused a denial of service attack. But otherwise, we could pretty much do what we wanted to do. We would also not try to exploit anything. We would just do vulnerability scans. Well, during one of our vulnerability scans, the scan itself actually rebooted the core switch of the campus. Now, we ran that scan once, and the network went down, and we weren't really sure what happened. We didn't think we were the cause of it, and so we didn't really tell the CIO about it. And then the next week when we came into class, we ran it again, and the network went down. And then we figured out, hey, guess what? We're doing this. So I immediately called the CIO and said, hey, look, we did this. Here's what caused it. And come to find out, there was actually a bug in the Cisco IOS on that core switch that the vulnerability scan was causing the switch to reboot itself. They patched the switch and stopped that vulnerability, which was a good thing. But obviously, our rules of engagement said we would not take anything down on the network. We were not trying to do that. We were running what should have been a safe vulnerability scan. So sometimes even if you are following your rules of engagement, things happen. Other types of rules of engagement to think about in the real world is, are you allowed to try to physically access the company, okay? For instance, there have been multiple examples of someone physically accessing the company, pretending to be a member of the local phone company, and then putting in some type of sniffer on the network. So again, that's the kind of thing that has to be set beforehand. And the other item when we talk about these models is, in a white box model, the entire IT staff knows someone's trying to do a pen test. In a gray box model, some people in the IT department, like the CIO and a couple people, may know that a pen test is going on. The black box model, you're given no information, and neither is the IT department. So they don't know except for the CIO and maybe one or two others in the security department. The main people doing SecOps or people doing security operations, they don't know a pen test is taking place. The hope is to see if they see the attempts and the attack. And we kind of worked on a semi-black box model when we did it here. They did not tell our IT department when it was going to happen, only that it was going to happen. And they were actually able to see it take place, which was kind of neat and did a lot for our security posture here. Now, what does this mean for your RFP? Well, you are going to create a request for proposal to do a penetration test on a fictitious company. But if you don't know what a penetration test is, it's kind of hard for you to do an RFP on it. Well, in a pen test, there are 7 main sections, and I'll be honest with you, there are other items and there are different models. This is just one that I've seen and used before. Actions. So this is showing you how some of the things you would do, the scope. doing the request for proposal is give me a spreadsheet on how much the being hired by the company, discussing what type of model you're going to do, and then of 43 million people have their name password of Tor, which is root backwards, by the way. That's the default username password for Kali. Takes a few seconds for Kali to boot up. Once it is booted, click on the Beef framework. And one thing you will notice, you do get an error message, but it still loads just fine. By the way, if you loaded Kali on a box or loaded your own Kali box, you would probably put your own passwords in it. Sorry, I was throwing a bottle away. I didn't think about the noise it would make. We're going to log in using a username of Beef and a password of Beef. All right. Once you are there, it asks you, you'll see here local address. You've got this machine here. This is leftover one did the lab earlier or a couple of days ago. But this 127.0.0.1, actually it's not leftover, it's just there because it's seen that machine, 9.1, which is our local machine. We're going to click on the here for a demo page, and it takes you to the demo page. Now, this is what it's going to look like when you actually are on a client machine and you've got that machine exploited, or you've got it coming to this machine, this Kali box is running Beef. So Beef is running on Kali. And we're going to go over to the SUSE box, and we're going to then connect to this Kali box's Beef implementation. So if everyone is at this point, we should be down at step number 8 on page 7. And it tells you to go navigate to the topology. Now, I'll be quite honest with you. When it said navigate to the topology page, I sat here for about 5 minutes when I was doing this live going, where the heck's topology page? Topology is right here. It's that item. So if you're inside of Kali or inside of any lab, and it tells you to, okay, and this is exactly what it says here, navigate to the topology page, okay. Again, I wasn't smart enough to figure out that meant, oh, okay, so go to the topology item, but that's what they want you to do. Click there, and then click on the Open SUSE box. And then you're going to log in with OS Boxes, and the password is osboxes.org, which is step number 9 on page 7. It'll take it a few minutes for it to get up and going. And we'll pause right here a minute and make sure everybody is caught up with me. So at this point, we've started Beef on Kali. We've logged into the Open SUSE box, and we're going to connect it to the Beef framework on Kali. Is everyone caught up with me? You can throw it in chat telling me you are, yes, no, maybe. Instructors, if you will just let me know if your students are caught up with me, or mentors, sorry.
Can spell it.
Terry, you good? All right. Terry, you good?
Yeah.
Is Sandy's group good? I know Sandy's not there. Y'all good?
Yes, we're good.
Okay, good. Amisha, you good? Is your group good? Okay. So what I want you to do now, we're on step number 10. Click on Firefox to launch Firefox in the Open SUSE box. You see it bounce around, takes just a little bit. All right, just close this little item at the bottom of Firefox. Now, what we're going to put in here is we're actually going to put in 192.168.9.2 colon 3000 /demos/basic.html. And that will connect us to the Beef framework. Now, where does this number come from? If I take you back to the topology, you'll see this is the IP address of the Kali box, 192.168.9.2. So we are connecting the web browser on the OpenSUSE box over to the Beef framework on the Kali box. Okay. Now, if you go back to Kali, which is what they want to do in step 12, okay, you can go to the Beef control panel, okay, and you should be able to see, yep, there it is, Beef control panel, and then click on 192.168.9.1. Now that, if you look, is the local box. Okay, and it's telling you that you're running the browser that's connected is running Firefox. So you'll notice the hooked browsers list. Okay, offline browsers, hooked browsers. The online browsers, you've got someone hooked into you that is running Firefox 43. Now if we look at OpenSUSE, okay, you'll see that this is Firefox. So this is showing you in Kali that you've got hooked in a browser running Firefox 43, which is what they're trying to show you on step 14. If you look at the logs, you can see that 192.168.9.1 joined the Horde, and that's basically joining the Beef. Comes back online, the browser windows regain focus. You can see now there's a mouse click inside of here. Now watch this. Let me see if that actually will show. I'm going to try to do this and refresh this. You see that actually was you're actually seeing my mouse clicks in the SUSE Linux. So the browser windows lost focus, and you're seeing the browser clicks I'm doing on the opposite side. Now, we're going to have to generate some events. Let's go down. We're on step 16. Okay. Go back to the OpenSUSE box, and you see there's on the Beef basic demo, there's a place you can put in your secret. Just put in your first name here. They tell you to put in secret, but just put in your first name and hit enter. It then has you go back to the Kali box, hit F5, click on your hooked browsers, the online hooked browsers, and when you do logs, look at this. It picked up what I typed, K-E-L-L-Y. So in other words, just imagine a piece of malware that you could put on a machine that would allow it to hook to this framework. And you just saw what someone typed in, which is very interesting. It's seeing all your keystrokes, your mouse clicks, and that's really what they're showing you in step 18 through 21. So just take a look at that log. Did everybody see their name typed in? If you did, I can see Sarah said, well, yep, right, thumbs up, cool. Kind of scary, isn't it? The thing that somebody remotely could be looking at your keystrokes on your browser. All right, let's go on down a little bit further. Now this is where it gets very cool on page 10. Click on the Commands tab, okay? And I would go ahead and expand this window just a little bit for the Commands tab, the one that says Module Tree, because it's a little bit hard to read if you don't, so just expand it a little bit. And they want you to open up the Browsers tab, and then go down to the item Detect Toolbars. Now, once you do that, you can click Execute, and the command is run right here, but you have to click on the command to have it. And you'll see that there are no toolbars installed on the Firefox on the OpenSUSE. So again, you click Expand, go to the Commands tab, which is step 1, page 10. expand the browser's items, go to detect toolbars, and then execute it. And when you get it, you'll see a command. You can click on it, and then you'll see there are no toolbars detected. So in this case, we didn't detect any toolbars that we could actually exploit. But now they want us to do this. Scroll down to Fingerprint Browser. And click Execute. And we're going to look at it, and you'll see that this browser, there it is. This browser is Firefox version 1 plus 1.8.4, basically 43 plus. So now we know what browser they're running, which is cool and useful. So again, you would have gone down from the detect toolbars to the fingerprint browser, and then execute that command, and it will give you the result. Now here's where it gets, I think, the most interesting. Okay. We're going to go on down to page 12, item 11. So what they want you to do is, let's unexpand the browser items and expand the social engineering items. Okay. And what we're going to do, we know we're running a Firefox browser. Now, before we do this, they don't have you do this in the lab, but I want you to do this for me. Go over to the OpenSUSE box and just look at your Firefox browser. Notice there's no notification bar here at all. There's nothing on it. Okay, so you see that when you go to OpenSUSE and you look at your Firefox that you've opened, there's nothing here other than just where you're hooked into Beef. But what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and do a fake notification bar, Firefox, and we know that because we've identified Firefox. Now, execute this. Now, what I want you to do is now go back to the OpenSUSE box and look what's happened. You just sent a fake notification. By the way, don't install that plugin. But you sent through this Beef framework a fake notification saying that, hey, guess what? You need to install this plugin. What would that allow you to do if you were trying to hack somebody's machine? What would most people do? Probably 80% of the people out there would click install plugin, and then you just install your malware in the background, and boom, you've got control of their machine. So this Beef framework just delivered whatever you wanted it to deliver, which could be any malware that you wanted to install on the machine. Now, folks, that's pretty scary. I'm going to go ahead and let you do the rest of the lab yourself. Excuse me, I'll let you do the rest of this cups part yourself. Give you a couple minutes, and I'll be looking at the chat to see if there's any questions in chat or anywhere, and then we will all get back together in about, I'm going to give you about 5 or 10 minutes to do down to step 24. When you get to step 24, give me a notice, and we'll pick back up from there, okay? Shouldn't take you long, about 5 minutes. Are there any questions? Sandy's group, I unmuted you because I think Sandy's probably got it on his machine. Do y'all have any questions? Nope, okay. We'll actually pick up at step 23, but so I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do the cups thing wrong. Play around a little bit, look at the different things you can do. And you can deliver Google phishing, you can do Firefox extension dropper, blind shells, all type, reverse shell. I'm actually going to try that one myself just to see what happens. It didn't give me my shell because I didn't give it the actual. I didn't tell it what reverse shell to use. I'd have to have netcat, actually run netcat, or excuse me, netcat to do a reverse connection. Which I don't have it running right now. Do a fake flash update. Custom payload, I like that. You can put in whatever payload you want. All right, let's do this now. Let's go ahead and get back together and let's click on, go to your OpenSUSE box and go down to the more advanced demo page. We're going to order some beef. Okay, your beef hamper. So click on order your beef hamper and then put in your name, some fake phone number, address, and then some fake credit card number. And they got in here the 601-100-990-0139, whatever. And then we're gonna sit here and we're going to buy beef. Woo, we just ordered beef, right? Well, watch this. You go back to the Kali box, click on the machine that's been compromised, click on logs, and look what just happened. I just got your name, I got the phone number, I got the address, and I got the credit card number. Now, one of the reasons I could do this, obviously, is because this page is not protected with HTTPS. This is an open page, and why you should never put anything in if the page is not HTTPS. It's not secure with SSL. It's still interesting that you can see the items have been typed in. In fact, really, if you compromise the browser and they're grabbing keystrokes, it would still be able to grab this because these are keystrokes, not necessarily something that's being sent. It's just keystrokes. So even if it was HTTPS, it would still be able to be grabbed. So this lab shows you the beef framework and how it can be used to hack web applications and web application probing. Are there any questions on that? Okay. No questions at all? You know all, see all, hear all? All right. One of the things you'll notice is that we use a large amount of Linux in this class. We use Kali Linux, OpenSUSE. All these are different types of Linux. I have given you access on our site, on the BE site, to a new class called RH124. These are the labs for the Red Hat 124 class. You will see all the different things that you can do with Linux. There's basically 51 labs that are available for you to do. Excuse me, that's up 16, more than 16 labs. There's 51 total labs. Some of them, there's multiples inside of each one. These labs are available for you to do at any time. So if you need access or you need to learn how to do the command line, well, there's a lab here that will show you exactly what you need to do, how to use the command line inside of this. After the first of the new year, I'm going to actually put you in a Red Hat class so that you can actually complete the course, the Red Hat course. Excuse me. But these labs are available for you to use over Christmas and to play with over Christmas. I've asked you to complete through Lab 10 in ethical hacking and then move on to do the other ones. So many of you are behind in the ethical hacking labs. If you're not comfortable with the Linux portion of the labs, then go ahead and go do about 8 or 10 of the labs in the RH124 class. That way you can get comfortable using the entire Linux system. Now this is slightly different because it's a different version of Linux, but most of what you're going to be using as far as the different items will be available in both, okay, or in all versions of Linux. Are there questions? Any questions from anybody? Any questions from the mentors? All right, I'm actually going to stop recording because I think we're good on the recording portion of the class.